Why Watch That is a podcast featuring the critic
and referee who go head-to-head on a quest to discover the best movies
and TV shows Hollywood has to offer. Expect the unexpected from the critic.
While nothing gets past the ref.
We do all the work.
So you don't have to. Welcome to Why Watch That.
A Why Watch That sneak peek.
Listeners, we're going to be doing these a lot more, and we're calling them Netflix TV sneak peek. Netflix sneak peek. Because we get access to some of these shows and films that Netflix has, and we want to share them with you to see if this is something you're going to spend your time. Because you know, if something's on Netflix and it's a TV show, it's a commitment. Oh, I mean, they literally have Netflix and, chill kind of thing. So hopefully you will be doing more watching Netflix and chilling with this new show called Locke Key that is premiering on the 7th of February. But we're going to tell you a little bit about it now. Now, it's about 10 episodes. And I'm going to let you know ahead of time that it may not be a lot of actors that you know, except for Darby Stanchfield, who was on Scandal. Everybody else, it's a little bit of a mystery. And it's fun getting to know new actors and new people behind the camera. So you got a chance to see some of this, and it's a Netflix TV sneak peek.
Yeah.
And should we be sneaking and Netflix and chilling to watch it?
Wow. Okay. Well, here's what it's about. It's about its title, Locke and Key. In the beginning, we are introduced to something that's quite arresting. There's a man who gets a message and he dies. I won't tell you how. What does that have to do with anything? Well, we are introduced to the Locke family, and a tragedy has happened to them. The father has been killed.
Oh.
And his murder, it is a murder, has something to do with his oldest son, who's played by Connor Jessup. Now, Connor Jessup was in the final season of American Crime. He was the lead kid, the lead teenager.
Okay.
So here he is again, and he's again playing a complicated character. He has a younger sister. She's slightly younger. They're both in high school, and they have their younger brother, who's a kid. Yeah, he's just a kid. And the mother's played by Darby Stanchfield. So they move to the Locke house. Now, this is a house that the father never took them to. Since he was a kid, he's never been back there, hasn't mentioned it. Now, the Locke house is called Key House.
Ah, Locke and Key.
Now, when they arrive at this new town, everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows the tragedy that has happened. There's a teenage guy who works in the ice cream parlor. He takes an interest in a certain person who you can guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so on and so forth. And, they have to go to a new school. They have to deal with that as teens. But the little kid, the little boy, he's, very interested in stuff. And he encounters there's a well on the property.
Of course, okay. There is.
And he goes there and he finds, a voice that comes up to him from the well saying, "I am your shadow." And this voice starts telling him about certain keys that are in Key House. So there are literal keys that are hidden around the house. How can he find the keys? The keys whisper to you. So as he finds these keys, what do they unlock? Because they literally go into locks, and you turn them and something happens as a result. Okay? What are those things that happen? Are they good things? And why does this shadow want this kid involved in these keys? Also, remember the father lived in this house. So what was his whole relationship to the keys and his friends, who are now, of course, all grown up? And Mama, Nina, played by Darby Stanchfield, meets one of them. So what does this turn into? How does all of this stuff come together? Is there something nefarious at foot? Yes. Now, I think that's good enough to set this thing up. Now, keep in mind here, Carlton Cuse is one of the developers of the show.
Ooh. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, Lost, and so on, with Carlton. Now, Jack Ryan, and so on. So I'm like, okay, let's check this out. What is he doing with this show? Because this really is almost in the YA genre. We really haven't seen this from Carlton. Interesting. Well, as I'm watching it, I like fantasy. I like supernatural. That's my thing. So I'm very interested in what these keys do. That I find fascinating. When it comes to the father dying and them dealing with their grief, when it's connected to the keys, it works. However, this show has multiple personalities. It wants to be too many things. It also wants to be this kind of brooding teen show that we've seen before. But then there's also this little kid that doesn't fit into that. And they don't quite gel correctly. Then you also have, of course, the grief process and the supernatural fantasy thing. Like, it's just a lot going on. And I don't think, because I've seen, the first 3 or 4 episodes, I don't think that they quite cracked that code. Now, if you're thinking, okay, who should check this out? It's kind of like this. It's kind of like if you think to the early Harry Potter films, the first couple from Christopher Columbus, the director. So Chris Columbus directed those. If he were to direct a teen show in that realm, it would kind of be like this. It's an odd mix. If that sounds like your kind of thing, okay. It's a strange thing even to recommend for kids, because when you get to the teen aspect, I don't think that's right for little kids. Like, there is, of course, the whole romantic thing, but there's also some violence. So it might be too much for them. But then you also get the little kid in certain keys, and he might be flying around. It's like, okay, I'm in Harry Potter.
Oh, what?
It's a strange amalgamation. I wouldn't call it boring, though. There were parts that were interesting. It's just I can't continue watching because it wasn't crisp enough. And we are now thinking, in honor of Kobe Bryant, of Mamba mentality. This didn't hit it.
Okay, well, Locke Key is going to be available on Netflix on the 7th. You can binge all 10 of those episodes and watch the critic.
Thanks for listening. For additional resources, visit WhyWatchThat.com.
Good idea, and we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and leave comments, feedback, and you can rate us on iTunes.
We'll see you next week.
See you.